Hello and welcome to another Company of Heroes 3 game. My name is Fancy Josh, and today I've got a game for you between Theodosios as our US. His opponent today is going to be Makros as our Wehrmacht. So I have cast both of these players before, and in fact I cast one of their games from earlier today. That game did not make it onto my channel because it was over a bit quick. But we're going to see if these players got a good one in store for us here in this rematch. So I can tell you right now, both players going for the same builds they went for last game, which is to say triple Pioneer into Grenadier for our Wehrmacht player, and our US player's opening Scout into Rifleman. That said, our US player has already locked in the Heavy Weapons Battle Group. He did not go for the Heavy Weapons last game. So if this game goes long enough, we are going to see a Pershing. Map today is going to be Famenville. Awesome map. Been in the pool a long time. I don't think it was in Company of Heroes 1, but I'm not 100% sure. Definitely been in Company of Heroes 2. Rather popular map. I like to talk about the Castle building that used to be here in the middle, which they got rid of in favor of this smaller, less imposing building. Still leads to some really interesting games. Cool to see our German player taking advantage of the new patch, using the increased build speed of field defenses to throw down sandbags and barbed wire them off. First fight of the game breaking out on this bottom side. Pioneer's going to have to deal with some scouts and some riflemen. Grenadiers on the way, though. More Pioneers hiding behind the building. So this does look like a favorable fight for our German, although the US player got out to a nice little early start here. Pioneer's going to have to give up the space as the riflemen move in. Scouts holding down the house here are also going to have to bail out by the looks of things. Grenadier's going to try and pick up those scouts on their way out, though. I don't think it's going to happen. But you never know. And nice little pickup there by those Grenadiers, getting that scout on their way out. That's going to be a little bit annoying for our US player. German player up to 2 Grenadiers and a heavy machine gun now. Opponent is adding on his 3rd rifleman as we speak. And US player seemingly, yeah, I was going to say, it feels like both players are okay with the fuel trading hands here. Not sure where these riflemen are off to. Maybe they're going to right there and stand in cover. Pioneers finally picking up this munitions attached to their base there. Riflemen coming from behind the house there to push away these Grenadiers. And heavy machine gun in the house, going to put a stop to any aggression from the US player there. So, okay, so it looks like our US player is going to invest in his infantry. He's adding on grenades now, also adding on the infantry support company. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw him go for bars, or potentially one of the upgrades available to him from the infantry support company. I did in the previous game that I was mentioning earlier, our US player did go for a Greyhound. So I'm secretly hoping we're going to see that again. Nice grenade by those riflemen doing big damage to the Grenadiers. Pioneers with flamethrowers joining the fray here. And looks like the US player is just going to give all this up, adding on a medical bunker. Well, what is that? Med tent. Medical station. Medical station being added on now to heal those riflemen back up. This player sniffing around for this fuel, potentially. Does look like he's going to be able to get it. Captain on the field here. Getting into that heavy cover. Heavy machine gun in the house. And it's going to be a scout car for our German. So he did go for the Luftwaffe company, which is also different from last game. Weapon support center on the way now, so we're probably going to see some assault carriers from our US player. We all know how good they are. Now I'm wondering if our German player might go for an early scout car upgrade, anti-tank. So they buffed, well, they didn't buff it. They changed this upgrade, this anti-tank gun upgrade on the scout car. It now shoots what's called blinding shot, which isn't actually a change for the unit, but they changed a bunch of abilities from being like snares into being blinding shots, and they called them all the same thing. Scout car was hit by this change as well. I think it's a really good change. It makes it so that, it's less risky to be... It's always risky to be aggressive, but you're not going to get snared with your vehicles by being aggressive, but your opponent can shoo you away by blinding you. And I think that's a good thing for the game. Don't punish... don't punish a player for being aggressive, but do reward a player for... using those active abilities, right? And I guess it works on the offense, too, so. Machine gun pinning those riflemen. Scout car going to drive them away. Scout's picking up this left side. Both players coming out relatively even on income overall. US player's done a slightly better job, slightly better job controlling the victory points. And we saw that he had added on those bazookas already. So, German player does not know for sure what his opponent has gone for in terms of battle group just yet, because our US player has not shown him anything. But our German does know that he has a support center, and may well be expecting a half-track, adding on this flak anti-aircraft gun here. So if you've watched my channel long enough, you know that I have a mixed relationship with this unit. It, it behaves like a heavy machine gun, except that it doesn't suppress. It does a lot of damage. It has a little bit longer range. It's pretty good against vehicles, but it is pretty risky to use that unit because it doesn't have the suppression. It must have units supporting it. And if your opponent manages to kill it, they can easily steal it, again, because that suppression doesn't keep enemy units from getting the weapon. So I like seeing this combined arms here, right? This anti-aircraft gun should pretty much never, ever be alone. Pioneer's getting in behind these riflemen, going to steal this cutoff point, denying all these resources to his opponent for a short period here. Captain on this top side going to run into these grenadiers. Looks like a good fight for the captain. Heavy machine gun getting very, very aggressive here from our German. And support elements on the way. Or Makros here. Making me think he wants to go for a flak panzer. You see our first half-track of the game for our US player is going for that 75mm to help deal with the scout car, as well as any other units vehicles he might be running into. And this 75mm is on... Oh, so it's on focus vehicle mode, but he is attacking something here. If I had to guess, I'd say he's attacking those sandbags. And trying an attack ground onto that scout car, which is going to get away. Rifleman in behind this heavy machine gun. Heavy machine gun going to bail. Mortar coming out from our US player. Love to see it. And as expected, a flak panzer on the way for our German here. So our US player desperately needs some AT. So as much as I like this mortar, it is not the right time for it. This flak panzer on the way. That said, that mortar is going to help against the heavy machine gun. It's going to help against that flak gun. Nice little mine there in the center of the road. Gonna do some good damage against those riflemen there. Scout car. Gonna be pushed away by the 75mm. AA gun doing some good damage to those bazookas. Also hitting the riflemen. Look how much freaking damage that thing does. Is gonna have to back off with the mortar on the scene, though. Choosing not to back off. Rifleman might go down here. Scout car thinking about chasing. Not going to happen. Pioneer's not going to get it done either. AA gun moving forward. That half-track definitely needs to respect this weapon. And the gun is well supported. Smoke grenade. Interesting placement of that smoke grenade. Maybe looking to cover the retreat of his units. Pioneer's getting suppressed. Flak Panzer on this top side. And U.S. player a bit trapped in his base right now. German player going to steal this cutoff point, deny his opponent resources here. 75mm coming up to move this Flak Panzer off this position. Jaeger's on the way for our German here to deal with the half-tracks. And heavy machine gun going to suppress those riflemen. Not going to let him get a pin there. Good hit by the 75mm. Mortar might come out and barrage this heavy machine gun, but the heavy machine gun's already moving. More field defenses for our German. Cementing his advantage in this game, right? If you take territory and you can leave something behind, it's going to make getting into that territory easier. It's going to make holding that territory easier. So love to see that. I also like to see these low health squads capturing territory. When you win a fight, you need to capture territory, and as it's scary as it might be, I think leaving a unit on the field is something that you should consider. I've been seeing, so I recently cast a game of Ray, who is the #1 player in the world right now, and he does this a lot. He wins fights with low health squads, and he leaves them in the area to capture territory for as long as he can before sending them home, and I think that's really smart. Now, for someone like me with lower IPM, it can be pretty risky. Heavy machine gun setting up on these riflemen. Grenadiers should be just fine with that suppression coming out. Flak Panzer covering the area. Mines going down for the German. US player probably did see that. Smoke grenades coming out from the mortar. Going to block away this anti-aircraft gun. And anti-aircraft gun looked like it might be moving, but not going to happen. 75mm half-tracks shadowing this Black Panzer around. German player has gone for the anti-tank option on this scout car. Rifleman closing the gap there. Bar rifles on the way for our US player. Going to increase the effectiveness of all of his units. Nice barrage coming out, totally wrecking this anti-aircraft gun. I don't know if our German player's seen it yet. Is going to lose that gun. Not the end of the world, should be able to get it back. 75mm is going to rotate bottom to deal with the Flak Panzer. Flak Panzer already backing up. Bar rifles really helping the US player to win these fights here, so nicely done. 75mm on the scene. Yeah, nice little push by our US player there. German player taking advantage of the situation, going to capture all this top side. German player has locked in the mechanized battle group and did call in the Stug D plus Stosstruppen. Love seeing this battle group option. I think it's really strong. Now, it does cost a ton of manpower. Oh, and US player was going to breach there for a second. That's something that you don't see very often. Jaeger squad, also something you don't see very often, has been upgraded with those, I think it's Gruler. In any case, he's got the anti-infantry package on those units, so he is going to be able to cast smoke grenades with them. But does not have the anti-tank capability he might otherwise need. Bazooka's getting some decent shots on this Flak Panzer. 75mm trying to get a shot. Might be able to catch this Flak Panzer. A little bit risky. Doesn't know if there's mines in the fog of war. Good hit by the AT. And is going to back off there. Stug D locking down the middle here. Now, Stug D on this map in particular, I think is really, really good. I mean, Stug D is good in a lot of situations, but that front armor is just absolutely massive. So even if our German has some well-positioned half-tracks, the Stug D can face its armor in the appropriate direction and block all those shots. See that happening now. Grenadiers getting a Panzerfaust out to disable that half-track. And wow, that map is blinking red. This player is capturing some territory on this top side, but the German has denied him this cutoff point. Duke D finding these engineers all by their lonesome over here. They're going to have to get the heck out of Dodge. Decent hit on the retreat. Flamethrowers also in their path, but should make it out just fine. Aircraft gun getting barraged by that mortar some more, and that's exactly what that mortar's job is to deal with those gun teams now. Riflemen doubling up on the Stoss troop, and Stoss troop, of course, very scary against infantry. 75mm coming in to deal with the Stug. Stug already backing away. He's not going to have vision there, unfortunately for him.
Enemy movement near a victory point.
And yeah, I mean, this has just been a really, really nice game by both players. Really well controlled. Our German player is definitely doing, I would say, a better job overall, despite what the score lead might say, which just shows the tenacity of our US player. But our Germans' Army comp is looking really, really good. He's got at least, let's say at least 5 minutes, probably more, before there's a threat of a Pershing. So as long as he prepares for that Pershing in advance, he should be totally fine. German player, of course, does have a similar threat. If it would let me show you. In the form of these Panthers. Now, Panthers versus Pershings is not a matchup I see very often. I do think the Pershing will win that fight one-on-one, but of course, fights should never be one-on-one. And I'm actually really looking forward to that. I'm hoping it happens. Pioneers picking up this top side. Nice little red map right now. But both players with relatively equal resources. And US player coming out on top on the victory points, at least for this time being. 75mm looking for a shot on the scout car, but not able to find it. Black Panzer being very active, right? Moving all over the map, not letting these 75mm half-tracks figure out where he is. Smoke grenades coming down in the middle here, making it so that the German has to come close. And scout car falling for it, walking right into these 75mm, is going to eat 2 shots and go down. So that was actually the mortar. I think that was the smoke grenade from the mortar, absolutely winning that scout car for our US player. Scout's going to go down on the side here, immediately being re-added. Heavy machine gun, 50 cals, set up by the US player. And that's actually our first direct indication to our German player that his opponent is in fact going for... I guess he did see the assault carriers earlier, so never mind. I was going to say that the 50 cal was his first indication of the heavy weapons battle group, but that is not the case. AA gun blasting away at this captain. Is that a US flare? Must be a German flare. Wonder who shot that out. Might have been the Jaegers. Oh, I'm not exact. I wish it would tell me whose flare that was. Can actually check. I know the only other thing it could be is this guy, but it's not because he's not veteran C1. And yeah, I'm just gonna stop talking about that flare because I've been wrong like 4 times in a row, so that's fine. Black Panzer trolling around this top side, going to drive away these units. 75mm actually rotating to the bottom to deal with the Stug. Stug trying to get back in behind this house, but that's not a place a Stug can go very easily. And 75mm trying to find some shots here. Does look like they're going to find it. Bouncing off that front armor at maximum range. Grenadiers here to help. Side armor letting that 75mm penetrate the armor there. Could see some Panzerfausts from these Grenadiers. Stug focusing the Riflemen. Both players respecting each other a little bit here. Rifleman going to get it blasted by the Stug, though. German player stealing away the guaranteed fuel from his opponent. US player doesn't like that very much, so he's going to send everyone to deal with it. Pioneers finding the side flank on this 50 cal. Flak Pans are going to help out as well. Pioneer's got to bail out. Should make it out okay because the 50 cal has to leave as well. Scouts trying to help, smoke grenading off the 50 cal to protect it. Bazooka's on the side of this flak panzer being suppressed by this heavy machine gun, so nice use of combined arms by our German here. Grenadiers should make it out just barely. Pioneers coming in to help. Need to be careful of this heavy machine gun in the base. Is going to respect it. Heavy machine gun being barraged by the mortar. Chaos and carnage everywhere. 75 millimeters here to deal with the flak panzer. And what a little fight. German is securing that fuel on the bottom side while this is happening. And advanced logistics for our US player, so definitely dedicated to his infantry in the time being. Gonna get those advanced logistics, giving him 25% off on reinforcement, which is a big deal. The experience gain is also pretty big. Heavy machine guns. Gonna set up on these Stoßtruppen. Stoßtruppen gonna close, maybe throw a grenade here. Not quite in time. Scouts stopping this capture from these Jaegers at the last possible second. Heavy machine gun refacing now. Is he in range? I don't think he is. Yeah, barely not in range there. 75 millimeter. Love to see a barrage from him. 50 cal gonna suppress these grenadiers on the side here. But US player is being stalled out by his opponent just a little bit here. The longer the German can stall, the happier he's gonna be. Heavy machine gun repositioning. Stu gonna blast the rifleman there, but a 75 millimeter gonna shoo that away. And this, you know, this game has just been non-stop action. Like, we're not seeing anything crazy from either of these players, but boy, is it a lot of action. Panther on the way for our German, very cool. So getting to that Panther rather quickly here, saving all his fuel after adding on that Stug. It's kind of refreshing to see Wehrmacht players not get what I like to call stuck on medium tanks, which is to say they stay on Luftwaffe tech the whole game. Big push from our US player. Finding this Stug on the left side. 75 millimeters not in a position to help. Grenade's going to blast that 50 cal. Is going to take him out. Rifleman in the area, but may have to give up this spot. Destroying the 50 cal rather than giving it up to his opponent. Like to see it. Stug continuing to blast these infantry. Bazooka's doing pretty much nothing to that heavy front armor. 75 millimeters trying to help out. And here comes the Panther, upgrading with the spotting scopes. Now, in theory, this Panther could rush those half-tracks. Panther, of course, fast and mobile. Agile, I should say. This black gun on the edge of the map going to go down here. Looks like the US player might want to take it away. Is that a barrage? No, it is not. It's just the most upward shot you've ever seen in your life. A gun is been taken by the US player, but is still back in this corner here. Scout squad might go down to a shot here. Duke freaking out, doesn't know what to do. Panther hunting these 75 millimeters from the looks of things. 75 millimeters trying to get out of there, barely gonna scrape by. And this has been the most disappointing anti-aircraft gun I've ever seen. And wow, US player barely scraping out of here. Look at that huge push from the German trying to catch him on the retreat, so nice timing by our US player. However, our German player did force our US player all the way back to his base here. 75 millimeters going to set up in front of this Panther. And going to bounce shells off that front armor, of course. 330 front armor for the Panther. I think that's the same as the Stug. It's more than the Stug. So, maximum range. Both these tanks going to do really well against those 75 millimeters. US player desperately needs his Pershing, but he is still 3 points off, I do believe. Yep, 3 more points there. Now, of course, I'll make my same pitch that I make to everybody, which is, you know, he does have access to this towed M5 3-inch anti-tank gun, which I've never seen anyone ever make because the Pershing is so cool. Why would you make anything else? That said, he can't afford it, so, you know, there's that. And Vesp, self-propelled artillery on the field for our German. He just has everything he wants right now. So we are going to start seeing some artillery barrages, starting with that one. Going to break up that 50 cal. Rifleman thinking about taking it back. Bazookas, not sure what they want to do there. This game is looking a bit scary for our US player. He is going to try and hold on for the Pershing, I'm sure of it. He has done a decent job keeping his units alive, but it does not feel like he's been winning fights, and his units aren't that high veterancy, unfortunately for him. So, of course, he's not out of it. I mean, in fact, he's still... Oh, he just ticked over to below his opponent in terms of victory points, despite having that early lead. 75mm setting up on this Flak Panzer, which does have the side armor. Panther moving forward on these half-tracks. Those half-tracks are in deep, deep trouble there. Backing up now. Phosphorus shot. That's called the blinding shot now on the front of that Panther to push him back, disabling the unit for effectively 5 seconds. So nice little trick there. And yeah. So these side armor for all these tanks here, gonna give them extra health and armor on the sides. Really does make a difference against these 75mm. The health especially, basically allowing them to survive one additional shot from a 75mm. Not going to do a whole lot against something like the Pershing. That's okay. Vesp blasting this mortar team here. Mortar team trying to help against those engineers there. Pioneers, rather. Stas Truppen locking down this top side. Scouts finding the Stas Truppen. Not a fight they want. And what a cool build from our German. Just a huge variety of units, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. I mean, he's been very, very active with that Flak Panzer the whole game. He actually did decent work with this flak gun, despite eventually using it. And yeah, it's just been really cool to see heavy machine gun unable to deal with these Jaegers. Again, those Jaegers have the smoke grenade access there, so they did throw it down here. Barrage from the 75mm is going to force those units back. Panther looking on. Not overly concerned about the 75mm. Stug recognizing the 75mm are over on that side. So going to get some free shots on these riflemen, drive them back. 75mm continuing to reposition. And US player does have enough for the Pershing. Has not yet unlocked it, but is able to. Oh, no, it costs 11, guys. It costs 11. He needs one more point. He does have enough manpower and fuel, so as soon as that ticks over, he's going to be happy. He's just out here trying to get some experience. 75mm barely living. Flak Panzer trying to get on the side of these 75mm. Decent hits on that Stug. Bazooka's coming in. Going to get some good hits here on the Flak Panzer, but not going to be able to pick it up. 75mm wants a piece, but not going to find it. 2 more bazooka shots. That Flak Panzer's barely going to get out of there. That would have been a really big pickup for our US player. I know the German can replace it, but it is veterancy 2, and that makes a big difference. Heavy machine gun going to suppress all these riflemen, but the mortar barrage is going to come in and try and help out. Probably a couple barrages from these 75mm as well. Doing some good work against that veterancy 3 heavy machine gun, which just went down to the barrage. That's a really nice pickup for a US player. Again, our Germans probably going to be able to get it back, but the fact that all that veterancy is lost is a big deal. Pershing on the field for a US player now. So we'll see if it's enough to bring him back into this game. Panther is the only real threat. And like I said, I do think a Pershing wins in a 1v1 situation against a Pershing, but against a Panther, but as I mentioned, we will not see a one-on-one fight. There will be supporting units. Jaeger's being suppressed by this 50 cal. Flak pins are here to help out. 75mm has something to say about that. And that is a ridiculous barbed wire line. That looks like a misclick to me. It is indeed. 75mm not facing the right direction. Pershing on the top side. Ripping through all these hedgerows. Unfortunately for him, I actually think he wants those hedgerows to block line of sight for his opponent. Assault gun in barrage mode, gonna wreck that scout squad there. Players going out by these Jaegers, gonna give him vision. 75mm coming in on this. Black Panzer doesn't actually know it's there. Pershing also poking its head out. Panther on the scene though, gonna get a side armor hit on this Pershing, marking the unit, making himself more accurate versus the Pershing here. 75mm protecting the Pershing though. And Panther is going to back off. Oddly enough, both players backing away from each other without firing a shot, which is hilarious. Riflemen and bazookas on this top side trying to take away this victory point are going to get it. Stas Truppen doing their thing, though. Very scary. Grenades in the retreat path. Going to deal some good damage. Standoff continues on this left side. And I do think our German player lost a unit, but I'm not sure what... I guess it was a heavy machine gun. This game's been crazy. Neither player's built any AT guns. Getting aggressive with the Pershing here. 75mm connecting on the side of the Pershing. Pershing also giving the side armor here. Looks like he's going for this Flak Panzer. Isn't quite going to get it, unfortunately for him. Vesp artillery barrage coming down on this fuel. Heavy machine gun is going to get out of there just barely. Engineers on the scene to repair up this half-track while the fight is happening. Heavy machine gun getting hit by those grenadiers on the side. Captain ready to help out. This player did win that fight against the Stas Truppen on the top side. Love to see that unit come down, maybe pick up some fuel. I guess we've reached the stage in the game where resources no longer matter as much, and it's all about the victory points for both players. And honestly, both players looking a little bit low on the victory point counter. The US player is actually going to secure all three here, so as expected, the Pershing is doing some serious work for him. Big push on this top side again. Rifleman going to have to give up the victory point. Might see the Pershing rotate over there to try and help out. Instead, choosing to defend this middle area. Does need to get repaired up, so no real surprise there. Yeah, I mean, this game has been weird. Like, good weird. Neither player's built AT guns, which is uncommon. Neither player's, you know, Germans typically at least build Panzerschrecks on their Jaegers, you know, to deal with something like these half-tracks. But not our German here. Instead, relying entirely on the Panther. US player basically relying on bazookas 75mm the whole time. So, cool game. Very cool. 50 cal suppressing these grenadiers. Managing to facilitate the hold on that left side there. Vesp is setting up. And heavy machine gun's going to have to give it up if it wants to live. He is going to get out of there. Stug trolling around here. Going to eat a shot from that 75mm. Pershing getting aggressive on those engineers. Might pick him up. Did get him in the end there. And also getting a good shot on the Panther. Pershing. So the Pershing saw a couple nerfs this patch, right? I mean, we already saw one of them, which is that it costs more command points. It also received a nerf to its experience gains, so you're going to see it level up more slowly. Nice little mine from our German player. It's a very common mine spot to dissuade your opponent from pushing in. Pioneer squad going down to the Pershing. Might see another hit here. And barrage here from the German. That's the zeroing artillery. Completely nuking that little area there. Don't think the US player lost anything in the barrage. Jaegers capturing this cutoff point. Riflemen rotating to this right side here to respond to that Jaeger threat. Panther pushing up. Stug actually not helping out very much against the Riflemen right now. Pershing being repaired. Love to see these 75mm come up just a little bit. And Pershing is on the scene here. Should see him be able to pick that up. Barrage on his base here. US player's got to move off because the Vesp is barraging his base. Going to hit him with some attrition there. 75mm doing decent against the Panther. Second Panther on the field, though. And this is a good answer to the Pershing, of course. German player did lose a Grenadier. No, they did not. Just more Pioneers. This player's managed to hold on to his forces here. Gonna move on to these Grenadiers on the side here. Riflemen on position. Pershing thinking about chasing. We might see the German respond. Not gonna happen. Decent damage against those Grenadiers, but ultimately not getting much done. And immediately rotating back to the middle, fearing a push from his opponent. And wow, this game is very, very, very close. I do think that our German is in a position where he might think about blitzing his opponent. He's not going to have another one of those zeroing barrages, so he's going to have to get it done with just the units he has on the field. He's also pop-capped here. This player's nearly pop-capped. Vesp hitting that heavy machine gun, going to have to bounce. And Riflemen on the side here. Actually suppressing those Jaegers. I'm not sure how that happened. 75mm shooing away this veteran C3 flak panzer. That is not something you see very often. Panther's getting good hits on the Pershing there. Pershing doing okay, though. And German currently not in control of enough victory points to stay in this game, so is going to tick down below his opponent here. 75mm getting great hits on this Panther. Pershing missing, unfortunately. 75mm continue to connect, though. US player needs to be really, really careful. Probably does not know about the existence of that mine. He may have a sense it's there, but who knows? That's a German mine up there, by the way. And looks like this repair bunker is going to go down. Nice pickup by the US player. I really like that from our German, right? When you're pop-capped like this, you can start thinking about bunkers. You can start thinking about caches, right? Whether that's fuel or munitions. At this stage of the game, I would recommend munitions because you don't need fuel. The fuel you have is enough to buy another tank should you lose one of your tanks. So munitions can be really, really good, allowing you to pick up something like a zeroing artillery barrage. Stug holding down this top side here. And this match is going to go the distance, I think. You're going to be down to the wire here. Vesp, Veteran C1. Does not have that increased rate of fire just yet. Grenadiers losing out to these 50 cals. Sort of a no man's land being established here. Another barrage from our German here. Going to force away that 50 cal. Grenadiers going to come in and try and take that point. Needs to be really careful about the other 50 cal. Pershing's going to have something to say about it, though. Rifleman finding the Stug on the top side, also Veteran C3. We've reached that stage in the game. Look at that fire rate on that Stug, holy cow. Going crazy. Grenade from the Grenadiers. German managed to decapture that bottom side, which is good for him. Stostruppen poking out here. They do have access to a smoke grenade. Might see it come down here. Vesp probably on cooldown. And Panthers on this top side. Stu going to come deal with this 50 cal from the looks of things. Did manage to get suppressed, but not before decapturing the point, slowing the bleed. Stu getting a good hit on the 50 cal. Vesp also helping out. Pershing firing into the Stug. Stug willing to eat these shots from all the AT. recognizing that his important units are, in fact, these Panthers. Panthers trying to close the gap here. Black Panzer was focusing the bazookas for a second there, but the Panthers are getting absolutely shredded by these 75mm and bazookas. Losing one of the Panthers. Does look like he's going to lose a second Panther here. Bazookas on the backside are going to destroy that Pershing. Nice, or that Panther, rather. Nice pickup for our U.S. player there. And German does control the space, but he did lose 2 Panthers doing it, as well as the Stug. Vesp is barraging home base here, connecting with some engineers, but doesn't look like he's going to wipe any units. 50 cal suppressing all these German units here. Smoke grenade going to come out, stop that 50 cal from doing its thing. Stas trooping holding down this central point. Vet 3 riflemen charging in. Oh, nice grenades from those Stas trooping, going to drive that unit back. Should be able to hold this point at least for a little while. Black Panzer running for his life, but is going to get found out by that Vet 3 Pershing there. That's a little bit scary. Panther on the field, full health, ready to go. This player is going to hold down this center point. That is a lot of 50 cals. And yeah, I mean, that was very, very aggressive from our German. And imagine a world where he had a zeroing artillery barrage with that. That said, I don't think he had time to wait for that type of barrage. Yeah, I think it was, it was really aggressive. He did have a reasonable flank. He did send the Stug in first, but I think the Panthers either missed a lot or didn't have good focus. He needed to commit to either focusing the 75mm or the Pershing, and it felt like he tried to do both. But of course, there was a lot going on, so it's hard to say when that much is happening all at once.
We are down to 100 points.
Now, the bleed is slow. German player does have a little bit of time. Do believe that is a German flare there. Revealing all these units. Pershing going to get involved. Panther going to poke its head out. Missing again, once again on the Pershing. Pershing did connect with the Panther, though. AT grenade onto the Panther, and there goes the Vesp. A bit too far forward. Panther being chased. And, yep, looks like our German player did throw in the towel. What an epic game. Really fun to see the different composition from our German there. And even though it didn't work out for him in the end, it was a really fun game to watch. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one as much as I did, and I will see you in the next video.